Hello and welcome back to another episode of I'm Talking to Jew. This week we're talking about those little funny Jew hats you see people wearing around.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the term Jew hat. It sounds a little bit derogatory. But
That's
what
not what
we
it's called?
are going to talk about is the Kippah.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, it's what it's called. The actual name is a Kippah, but we'll get into that. Before we start, I actually want to wind the clocks back a little bit. I want to ask you how you felt last week went, because it was pretty heavy.
I'm still recovering from last
do you
week.
feel like you know a lot more about Jews, where we came from, who we are and stuff?
I know more than I did before last week. 100%. Definitely.
I think you set the bar way too low.
Oh, man.
But
It
you
was
know
rough.
more.
It was good. It was a good learning experience, but it was hard.
Okay, that's
It was
good.
real hard.
Well, sit back and relax, because I think today's going to be a lot easier. We're going to delve a little bit more deeply, but into a much more narrow topic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I do still have some pretty big beef with Ishmael, though.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that to go away anytime soon.
Oh, we're going to have to talk about it eventually.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just to remind everybody, this podcast is rated O for offensive, but we'll try to keep that to a minimum.
No, I'm excited to learn about the Kippah.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I've been walking around for 25 years calling them little Jew hats.
I've heard them called Jew hats, skull caps, all sorts of things. I've had
so
people
good.
come up to me in pretty much every walk of life and ask me, what's on your head? What's up with that? Are you Jewish? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian?
Yeah, see, that's crazy.
Would you ever do that?
No,
if you
I
saw
can't.
someone, would you ever walk up to them and be like, oh, that's odd?
No, and why would you do that?
Okay, but let's say you knew that a kippah is a sign of someone who's Jewish.
Yeah.
But let's say someone came up to you and they had like a chain link necklace or like a chain link headband.
Yeah, I would never talk to that person anyway.
But let's say you had to. Let's say you were like serving them coffee. Would you ever think to ask like, oh, do you mind if I just ask you a really personal question?
No. I would never be like, hey, what's up with that chain link? Well, actually, if someone was wearing a chain link headband, I probably would ask, to be honest.
So prior to meeting me, would you have ever gone up to someone who was wearing a kippah and asked them?
No. I wouldn't
alright.
ask anyone wearing a kippah. I would probably ask someone wearing a chain linked headband.
Okay. All right. So that's probably where the line is.
Yeah.
We found the line in the sand.
That's-
Okay, good. But luckily for you and luckily for everybody out there who maybe wanted to ask what a kippah is but didn't feel like it was the right thing to do, we'll answer all your questions right here, right now.
Yeah, now you don't have to ask. It's crazy to me that someone would ask you that. Has anyone ever just randomly asked you?
Yeah, I've lots and lots of people. In fact, I have a distinct memory. I must have been, I don't know, 10, 11 years old in Toys R Us, and some
What a time.
adult, like a guy,
Yeah.
like a fully grown
An
adult
adult male. Yeah.
adult male came up to me to ask me about what's on my head and why do I wear it and anything like that. And I was very, very shocked and very, very taken
You
aback.
should have been terrified.
I wasn't terrified, but only when he started to buy me as many presents as I wanted and said he just needed help loading it
Yeah.
into his unmarked white van.
I have more questions about what this man was doing in Toys. Did he have a kid with him?
Not that I could see.
Yeah, that's a red flag straight
Yeah.
away. That's a straight up Amber Alert.
The truth is, I was just like, I don't want to talk about my kippah.
Yeah,
I'm
of
10
course.
years old and I wear it because I've always worn it and I don't want to, I don't know, I can't justify my theological and philosophical beliefs to some random in Toys R Us.
Yeah.
I just want my new Star Wars figurine and I want to get the hell out of there.
Especially when you're 10 years old as well.
Yeah.
To me, going up and asking someone something like that, like a personal thing, like you would never go up to someone like an amputee and be like, how'd you lose your leg? Like you would never do that.
Yeah, but you know that they lost their leg, right? I guess people just look at a kippah and go, I have no frame of reference for that weird circular thing on someone's head.
Very true.
Yeah, so we should probably actually describe what a kippah looks like in case some people don't know what we're referring to. We're talking about, how would you describe it?
It's a little circular hat. It looks like a coaster.
Okay,
that you
so
wear
it
on the
looks
top
more
of
like
your
a
head.
coaster, because if you say it's a little circular hat, I'm just getting this mental image of just a minute version of a baseball cap, just popped
That
on
would be
top
so
of
much
my
better.
head.
I wish
Yeah.
you wore that. I wish you wore a little hat with a propeller on top. That'd be the best.
Like a whole line of novelty kippah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking you could also customize it by industry. So, for example, the police, maybe they could have one that has a siren on it that
Yeah,
they can
that'd
just
be
turn
good.
on, battery operated,
Yeah.
blue and red lights flashing.
This is a whole market. What about like high vis? We could do that for sure.
Oh, yeah. I know it's a stereotype, but I don't think there are a lot of high-vis wearing Jews. Like,
Not
I don't think there are a lot of
tradie
tradie
construction
Jews.
Jews.
No, there aren't. And also, most of the time, I feel like they probably have a helmet on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
anyway,
you wear
we can go into that.
Yeah, I've got questions about it.
I'm sure you have heaps of
I've
questions.
got lots of questions.
All right, so let's maybe start off with where does the name the Kippah come from?
Yeah.
The word Kippah in Hebrew means a dome.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's probably like the equivalent of like a T-shirt looking like a T. So a dome Kippah looks like a dome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a very big dome, but it's a dome nonetheless.
You can get different sized kippot though.
Yeah, but
and also to
how
clarify,
big are we talking?
Kippot is plural for kippah. So instead of saying kippahs in Hebrew, we'd say kippot.
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 You have multiple kippot.
One kippah, two kippot. Does that make sense? One kippah, two kippot.
Oh, okay. So the kippot is the plural.
Yeah.
Okay, I got confused for a second.
I feel like a Dr. Seuss book coming along, like one kippah, two kippot, red kippah, blue kippah.
Yeah.
Not a very interesting book.
I don't know. Why, what's the significance of a dome, though? Or did it just happen to be that shape?
All right, so let's get into it. Why do Jews wear a kippah?
Yeah.
So there are a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is to remind us that there is a God above us all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
A very literal interpretation.
It's a very literal interpretation,
Yeah.
but also makes sense. Like, it's a physical reminder. And if you're going to put, like, I don't know, a stone in your shoe, that's not...
Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah, it's not very
That's
symbolic of something above you. And God is above us, all around us, constantly we're in his presence.
Yeah, just 24/7, 365, God's got Jews on his mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight up.
So the rabbis say that to wear kippah always reminds you to be in awe of God.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent to have like a level of fear that you are always in the presence of God.
That's spooky.
Why is it spooky?
Yeah. Fear weirds me out.
Why?
With religious things.
But it's not fear. It's not like quaking, shaking in your boots fear.
Yeah. That's the experience I have. From my very limited time as a Catholic schoolboy, it's like Catholicism is very fear-based. It's like, don't do anything wrong or you're going to hell. But if you do something wrong, just say you're sorry and it's fine. Like, it's the strangest thing ever.
I can't comment on that. But it's not like a scary fear thing.
Yeah, it's not just, like fire and brimstones, like Old Testament.
Be aware that God is always all-knowing and stuff like that, and it's just a way of reminding you.
Yeah.
But there are other things that it symbolizes as well, like covering your head is a mark of respect. So if you go into a synagogue or you're praying or you attend a funeral, Jews throughout time used to cover their heads.
Yeah.
And then over time, it just changed from what was modern-day headwear, I don't know, more like hoods or cloaks or hats and things like that. And then the kippah slowly developed over time.
Yeah. I feel like you could have picked something cooler.
Like what?
Like a hoodie would have been cool, like you were saying.
Like but hoodies are relatively recent.
Though. Yeah. Or like I'd wear a backwards hat, I think.
Yeah, but that's because you're such a cool bad boy.
I am a bad boy.
Yeah.
I would literally wear a bad boy backwards hat. Like the brand Bad Boy.
The brand Bad Boy from like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I would wear one of those. That'd be great.
Vivid memories of everybody wearing Bad Boy branded clothing.
Yeah, it's so good. And that, like, can you substitute a kippah for anything else?
Yeah, so if I'm wearing like a baseball cap, I don't have to wear a kippah underneath it. I probably would because when I take it off, I want the kippah to be there.
Yeah.
But technically, as long as your head's covered.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So you don't wear the kippah on top of the hat?
No, that would be very impractical. What would I clip it to? Like, I use bobby clips and hair clips to keep my kippah in place.
Yeah. Maybe you could just, like, sew it onto all of your hats.
No. Or, like, if I was wearing a fedora, how would I put a kippah on top of the fedora? That would just look ridiculous. And this is coming from a guy who wears a kippah 24/7. And if I say that looks ridiculous, it looks ridiculous.
It's so funny because we just found another way to make fedoras look even more ridiculous. They're the worst fashion accessory ever already. Yeah. And a kippah on top would be the best thing ever. It'd be so good.
I don't think I could pull off a fedora at the best of times.
No, I don't think anyone can pull off a fedora.
I'm barely pulling off a kippah. No. And I wear it for religious reasons.
Yeah. Unless you're like an ad man in the 50s, you can't pull off a fedora.
Yeah.
And that was only because there was women weren't allowed to tell them they looked bad.
But that has to be your thing. Like, you have to be the fedora guy, right?
You've got to have, like, fedora confidence.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you've really got to own it if you're going to wear a fedora like that.
Yeah, like, my kippah is not representative of any confidence whatsoever.
You wear, like, a plain black kippah.
Yeah.
Is there any... I was talking to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I was telling him we were about to do this episode.
Yeah.
And he asked me if there's any significance to colour of the kippah.
Yeah, so there's significance to colour, there's significance to shape, there's significance to the material that the kippah is made out of.
Very cool.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get to that. Pretty much, like, it started off as we would just covered our heads in general when you're praying and things like that. But over time, the kippah became more of an accepted headwear. And then, even though there are lots of rabbis, especially throughout rabbinic literature, there are a lot of rabbis who say that it's a sign of piety and righteousness, but it's not necessarily like an obligation to wear kippah.
Yeah.
Since then, Jews have sort of accepted it as an obligation. So now it's sort of become this weird tradition where it's sort of like a voluntary obligation. If that makes sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
What, voluntary obligation?
Yeah, that's the biggest oxymoron I've ever heard in my life.
It's sort of become a mark of like, if I see a Jew wearing a kippah, you can probably rest assured that that person is a certain level of observant and religious, right?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, because it's sort of been accepted. So some people just view it as an obligation, the same as like keeping kosher and the same as like keeping Shabbat and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, but you keep kosher. Like, you don't eat anything that's not kosher.
Correct.
And that you're not... Well, I guess you're volunteering to do that, but you're kind of obliged to do that based on your faith, though,
Yeah,
right?
it's not at the same level. So like nowadays, wearing a kippah is a must if you're a religious Jew, right?
Yeah.
But it's still not at the same level. It's not the same level of obligation as keeping kosher or keeping the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. So voluntary obligation, you're gonna have to get used to it, because we call it tradition, but essentially that's what it is. Just a voluntary obligation.
If you were just like, if you're a Jew,
yeah,
non-religious,
yeah,
you'd probably still put it on for like a wedding or something, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. As in like a mark of respect,
like a traditional thing.
Yeah, exactly. The same way how like you might take off your shoes if you enter a certain holy place where they want you to take off your shoes, or you would wear smart attire if you went to a church. You do the same thing. It's just a mark of respect.
If I went to a Jewish wedding, and they asked me to wear a kippah, they probably wouldn't. That might be sacrilegious. I don't know.
No, they would.
Could probably happen.
If you came to a synagogue, I'd give you a kippah to wear.
Yeah, I'd totally wear it.
100%.
Oh, we should
100%.
go.
What, to the synagogue?
Yeah, actually, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I will take you at some point.
Yeah. I'd feel very strange. I wouldn't know what to do.
I would help you. I'd hold your hand the whole way. Don't worry. I wouldn't let you go.
Yeah, okay.
There are some bad stereotypes about like kippahs and why we wear them.
Yeah.
And the main one being, which I think actually you mentioned to me once, is about covering devil's horns.
Yeah.
Because there's this terrible, terrible stereotype that Jews have horns.
That's pretty awful.
It makes no sense, because where would the kippah go? Like, I'm thinking practically.
You'd have to have them very small and very central. Well, not even central, but the horns themselves would have to be very close together. Like, traditionally, I think horns are on either side of the head.
So then there's plenty of room to put the kippah in between.
Yeah.
But if you have close horns, you'd have to cut 2 holes in the kippah and then sort of slide it on top.
Yeah, and then that makes the kippah superfluous because it's not covering
the horns.
So
exactly.
what's the point? That's
also,
crazy,
I have Jew curls, and those Jew curls do just as well covering my kippah as...
Yeah. I have heard people describe the curly hair of Jews as the devil's curls before.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
So that sort of takes the like devil's horns.
Yeah.
It sort of applies, because I can't deny that I have curly Jewish hair.
You do have curly Jewish hair.
But it's not a mark of the devil.
Yeah, well, to some people.
It's just my luscious curls, man.
Yeah, I think people who think that just don't like Jews. That's the problem.
If only we had a name for them. Bloody anti-Semites.
Yes. I don't know. It's crazy, man.
So there are lots of types of kippahs, depending on which sect or denomination of Judaism you come from.
Yeah.
So, for example, I wear crocheted kippah.
Yeah, very nice. I like it. It's a nice material.
I wear a black one mainly because I work in a non-Jewish environment.
Yep,
and
true.
I don't want to wear anything too conspicuous.
You don't want to stand out even more, you know?
What do you mean even more?
Oh, with the curly Jew hair.
I look the same. Same number of eyes. Same number of ears.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 more horns than most people in the office, but apart from that...
If I was going to wear one...
Yeah.
If I would, like, you know when you go to try on shoes?
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll forget your socks, because, like, maybe you weren't going to go buy shoes that day, and you're wearing flip-flops or whatever. They have, like, just random socks that you can wear. Is that the sort of thing that would happen? They have, like, a box full of kippahs just for outsiders to try on?
Like in a synagogue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you came in and you forgot one, or let's say even you lost yours or you didn't realize you left the house, there are always spare Kippah around.
Yeah. And I assume they're not going to be like a nice material one, right?
Oh, it depends.
Depends on the synagogue.
Mostly not. Mostly it'll be like this sort of cheapy silk, ill-fitting, one size fits all type.
Yeah. Well, what's the significance of the material?
Yeah, so like I was saying, mine is crocheted.
Yes. Very
crocheted
nice.
and suede kippot. You can get suede kippot.
Suede sounds
They're
very
sort of
good.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
They're often worn by modern Orthodox. So I'm modern Orthodox and my upbringing was modern Orthodox. So I just stayed with one of those.
If you're a retro Orthodox Jew, is it like fluoro and like with crazy patterns on it and stuff?
I think that's just more reflective of your personality, actually, more than anything else. But like when I was
like
a child,
70s style one.
I used to wear kippot that had, I don't know, movie characters on them or football clubs.
Yeah, I've seen your incredibly dirty Mighty Ducks one.
It's incredibly dirty because I used to wear it all the time.
Yeah, and as a kid who grew up in the early 2000s, you should have.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if the rule is you wash your bath towel once a month, your bed sheets once every 6 months, you wash your kippah once every 3 years. That's the rule.
Once a month for your bath towel.
I'm a very clean guy, man.
I wasn't going to say that was excessive. If anything, it's not enough.
Yeah, that kippah is really dirty.
It's horrendous,
rank.
yeah.
But it has emotional value. It's like a book that's well read.
Yeah, I just think you should wash it. That's the only thing.
But I'll wash away all those memories.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have crocheted, we have suede.
I like suede.
There's the silk ones.
Ooh. Yeah.
You say ooh, but it's not really.
It sounds sexy. That's the thing.
They're often worn by Reform Jews, sometimes conservative Jews, but they're often just because they're easily manufactured and they're quite cheap. They're often
less sexy straight away.
Yeah. They're often the one that's just handed out at like functions where people might not have
like
a kippah.
silk? Is there silk?
Isn't that what we were just talking about? What did I say?
We were talking about suede.
Suede, crocheted. Now this is silk.
Oh, did you say silk?
Yeah. But there's black velvet.
No, you said satin. Or am I talking about satin? No, you said satin.
What's the difference between satin and silk?
I don't know, but there's got to be a difference.
Maybe.
If you know the difference between satin and silk, let us know at Talking to Jew on Twitter.
Yeah, but really do it politely because I don't want to have insulted the entire textiles industry.
Yeah. There's like maybe there's like a huge beef between the satin and silk people.
It could be.
Like Israel, Palestine. Not on the same level.
Not on the same level.
I should not compare the struggles of Israel and Palestine to a fictional beef between the satin and silk industry.
Which might actually be the same thing for all we know. I'm totally ignorant when it comes to silk and satin and the differences.
God, I cannot wait until we talk about Israel-Palestine.
Yeah, it's going to be a big episode.
People are like, okay, my group of friends aren't like, hey, what do you think about the Israel-Palestine conflict? But if that day comes...
Yeah.
God, I want to be like, well, actually...
So maybe what we'll do is we'll do the silk versus satin episode first, and then afterwards we'll follow it up by like Israel versus Palestine.
Well, maybe we should just do the silk versus satin episode as like one big metaphor for Israel-Palestine. Because then we can like, beat around offending people, you know?
Yeah.
That could be a winner.
Yeah. That would be a little bit off-brand, but not offending people might be good for a while. Yeah.
We'll try. What about like where you wear it? Does that mean anything?
Yeah, so that does.
But it has to be on the head, right?
It has to be on the head.
Oh, cool. I was thinking about like, when you see those jackets with like leather elbow patches?
Yeah.
You could do one with 2 kippahs on each elbow.
But how's that going to remind you that God's above you? It's more like...
No, he's beside you.
What, like this little angel and little devil on each side of the shoulder just whispering different things into your ears?
Well, not a devil. Just be God on both. You don't have to wear an evil kippah. It's just 2 kippahs on your elbows. A dumb idea, but an idea nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right, so where you wear it on your head has some kind of significance.
Sort of. Like if you are particularly pious or you have a big kippah, or certain sects will more likely to wear it like front and center.
Yeah.
I try to wear it sort of at like the apex of my head, sort of towards the back where it's not... I mean, I'm pretty short, so you can probably see it no matter which angle you're looking at me from.
Yeah, you said it, not me.
I did. It's very obvious.
In an audio medium, definitely.
Less obvious.
You can tell just by like the tone of my voice that I'm way taller than you.
Well, your baritone, masculine voice.
So like...
If you're a rebel, if you're a teenage rebel, and you you want to rebel, but you also don't want to go to hell...
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want to get in too much trouble.
Yeah. You don't want to get in too much trouble. So you'll wear like a really small kippah.
Yeah.
And then you'll probably wear it at like the back of your head so it doesn't mess up any of your hairstyles.
Yeah.
Like if you remember, when I was
small?
like in late primary school, early high school, everybody used to spike their hair with just copious amounts of gel.
Like
right?
too much gel from
Way
the
too
back,
much gel.
so it's as hard as possible.
Yeah.
And then as hard and spiky and vertical at the front.
Like crystallized spikes.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine trying to put a kippah on top of that?
Yeah.
So they'd wear it like at the back of their head, sort of like just above their neck.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't have to worry about it, impinging on their aesthetic appeal at all.
Yeah, unless you were looking at the back of their neck.
Yeah, but who does that? I suppose if you're sitting behind them in class. But for like photos and selfies and stuff like that.
Would that happen to you in school? Like, you'd be sitting there and then someone would walk in, say like some Isaac kid. He's a punk, right?
Isaac is
actually.
A
Let's
name.
use Ishmael. Ishmael walks in.
Okay, yeah.
Ishmael's a punk, and he's rebelling, and he's got a tiny little kippah on. Do like Chinese whispers go around the classroom? Like, oh, check out Ishmael.
Not really, but if you're someone who always wears a kippah, like if you do the opposite, if you're someone who always wears a kippah, and then one day people see you not wearing a kippah, they'll be like, ooh, maybe he sort of left the path of observant Judaism. What's going on with him and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's just not it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
It'd be like
I've had people make comments to me because I don't wear it, for example, like when I play sport.
Yeah.
It's going to get sweaty. It's going to get gross. It's not practical. And when I used to play soccer, in the beginning before the game, the ref used to come along and everyone has to lift up their shoes and they would test your studs because we weren't allowed metal studs.
Yeah.
So I always used to have someone used to check my studs and then check my kippah because I always had these bobby pins and they always thought it was like a safety hazard.
Yeah.
So
Well, what if you could have just pulled those bobby pins out and just gone at kids with them? You're not going to do too much damage.
But then my kippah would have fallen off.
Yeah, true.
Like little kids will wear what's called like a Sephardi style kippah. So Sephardi Jews are Jews who originated from like Spain in that area.
Yeah.
And they're much bigger, brighter kippot and they sort of cover the entire head.
Yeah.
And that's just because if you're 3, 4, 5 years old and you're just starting to wear a kippah, you don't want to wear a clip and that sort of stays on their head a lot easier because it's just like a brimless cap, basically. Yeah.
What's the most like embarrassing one you've ever seen someone wear?
Most embarrassing kippah?
Yeah.
I have a vague recollection, even though I can't remember exactly where, that I've seen a kippah with the Playboy symbol on it, which is just the most ironic thing I think I've ever seen.
I don't know what it is about me because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I feel like they just seem so like nerdy to me.
What? A
The
kippah? That's horrible.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know why I feel that.
That's funny because when I look at different kippahs, depending on the type, depending on the color, depending on the size,
that's cool.
I can't help myself but to make judgments about that person, not as a person, but like, for example, if I see a big black velvet kippah, I'm going to assume they skew towards a more ultra-Orthodox, Hasidic type of worldview. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if I see someone wearing a kippah that, let's say, is in the shape of a watermelon and colored like a watermelon.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, I'd assume that he probably, doesn't take life too seriously. He's probably a fan of our Torah, the explorer idea. He's that sort of a Jew.
It's very cool. You could definitely like pimp yourself out with it.
Yeah.
I think it should reflect your personality. Or what about this for an idea?
Okay.
Like mood rings?
Yes.
Mood kippah. That'd be cool.
Mood kippah.
One that changes color based on like what mood you're in.
Wow. Like if I was very stressed.
Yeah.
And it meant a stress color and everybody can just look at my head and be like, all
stay
right, we
away.
better just leave him alone.
Give him
just
some
for a bit.
space. Yeah.
I would enjoy making a line of very specific kippah. Like I don't swim with my kippah, but I'd love a waterproof one that doesn't like become all wet and soggy and heavy.
Yeah. What about like we should make a luxury brand of kippahs.
Like a leather kippah.
Oh, like leather with like studs and diamantes.
Interesting. Now that you bring that up, there's not actually much stigma about like rich people wearing particularly rich or heavily golden embroidered kippah. It doesn't really work like that. There's no real stigma attached to the type of kippah you wear other than your denomination within Judaism, actually.
Yeah. So there's no like class sort of differential based on what you wear.
Well, maybe if you're like a top rabbi, you could wear a kippah that says like,
is there a top
world's
rabbi?
number one rabbi?
Like, is there a number one guy?
Like an equivalent of the Pope?
Yeah.
Nah, we'd never agree. We could never agree. I'd want my rabbi, you'd want your rabbi, he'd want his rabbi.
Yeah.
Like, we'd never be able to agree.
This is like your fun joke from last week.
About the 2 Jews and 3 opinions?
Yeah.
It is, because imagine I see a rabbi and he wants to be like the Pope equivalent, but I'm like, well, I don't like the kippah he wears. His kippah is not the kippah I wear, so how do I know he thinks about the world the way I do?
You Jews.
It's very complicated.
Just never get along.
Okay, you can't say you Jews. I can say you Jews, but you can't say you Jews.
I
Not
feel like
yet.
I'm kind of like getting to it though.
Like an honorary Jew?
I'm earning my stripes.
Slowly,
I'm earning my
slowly.
curls, I think.
Your Jew curls.
Yeah.
Your devil's curls.
I think that's pretty good for Kippah.
Yeah.
I've got an understanding of why you wear it. Do you think it's time for our very first ever segment?
Our very first segment,
Yeah.
Jewcabulary.
Oh, I'm very excited.
So every episode, we're going to take a new word or a new phrase
Yeah.
from, I don't know, maybe Hebrew, it might be Yiddish, it might be something from the Torah or something just from, the development of Judaism over the past couple thousand years.
Yeah. Oh, actually, before we do this,
Yeah.
while we're talking words,
Yeah.
so I was saying little Jew hat,
Yeah.
and then you corrected me, it's a kippah.
Yeah.
What about a yamuk? What's that?
A what?
A yamuk.
A yarmulke?
Yeah, is
Oh,
that
you mean
how
like a
you say it?
yarmulke?
A what?
A yarmulke?
Yamuk. I
Try
did not
it
do
again.
well then.
Just try it again.
A yamuka.
Yarmulke.
Yeah.
There we go. That's sweet.
I feel silly.
Well,
for
don't
calling
feel
it a
so.
yarmulke.
It's just a Yiddish word for the
Yeah.
same.
Oh,
for
so
the
it's
same
just
thing.
the exact same thing?
It's the exact same thing. It's no different between a yarmulke and a kippah. I call it a kippah. Most people do. Most people don't really speak Yiddish, but some people call it a yarmulke.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just the same thing.
Yamuk is so silly.
Yarmulke.
No, that's good. Yamuka. Well, I'm learning.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah. Actually, now I think of it, I've probably heard the word yamuka before. I never heard yamuk before. But
I don't know
reading it,
why you said yarmulke.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very odd.
Let's Jewcabulary.
Let's do Jewcabulary.
Teach me the ways.
So today we're going to do a phrase that you often use, totally out of context,
That could
not at all in the right situation.
Yeah, way to narrow it down.
And that's Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov!
Mazel Tov.
Yeah, I like
So
that one.
Why don't you tell me what you think Mazel Tov means?
I think it just means, like, way to go. Like, good job, buddy.
Like in what situation?
Like, I don't know, like, you kicked a goal in sport, and that sounded like I didn't know anything about
not
sport.
really.
Yeah, like you kick a goal or score a touchdown, and it's like, yeah, mazel tov, pal.
No, but it's close. Like if you won the game, you
Yeah.
could say Mazel Tov to someone. Basically, we use Mazel Tov the same way you'd use the phrase congratulations. So, for example, if you get engaged, if you get married, if you have a new child, sometimes even if you get a new job, anything like that, you can just say Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
But-
I was pretty close. I was warm.
You were warm. You
Yeah.
were warm. But then again, you use it so often and in so many contexts, you were bound to get it right on some occasion.
Do you ever just give yourself a little mazel tov on the back?
A Mazel Tov on the back. I don't really think anybody would. I mean, would you ever say congratulations to yourself?
Yeah, probably not.
No. I mean, Mazel Tov doesn't actually mean congratulations, though.
Oh, well,
I mean, it's sort of become the term you use in place of congratulations. But the word mazal,
Yeah.
which is Hebrew, and then mazel, which is softer, is actually the Yiddish form of that. Mazal means more like luck or fortune or destiny. The signs of the zodiac in the Talmud, which is a commentary on the Torah,
oh yeah,
are
I'm
called,
very
are called
familiar.
mazalot.
Yeah, that's my point of reference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. You have a copy of the Talmud
Wait,
at home, I'm sure.
so muzzle.
So mazel is like fortune.
Okay,
Tov is good.
so good fortune.
So good fortune.
Oh,
But-
so you like when you say mazel tov, you're wishing them. It's congratulations, but you're also saying, "Hey, I hope it goes well."
Yeah, it works both ways. So it's
Okay.
sort of saying like, I hope this is the beginning of good fortune and may you continue to have good fortune.
Yeah.
But also, oh wow, what good fortune that you got engaged or
Yeah.
had a child or won your soccer game or anything like that.
I really can't wait to use it correctly one day.
Do you think you understand how to use it or you think you're just going to keep guessing?
All I know now is if you have someone has a kid, mazel tov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. You could say mazel tov about anything. Like if something happens, you get a promotion at work, just say mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
There are some people who are sticklers though, and are like, because of the word mazal meaning fortune, it has to be something that really is fortunate for like the Jewish people and for you as a Jew and for as a better person. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't say mazel tov if like you buy new sneakers.
Oh, depends how much you like sneakers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it does. It depends what
Well,
kind of sneakers
I
you
guess
buy.
more if you won them. Like if you won the sneakers,
If you won it.
it's not a lot of fortune, but it's still like
Yeah.
lucky.
Or like if you won a car. If you won a car, I guess you could say Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Some people would, some people wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably would. I just really
Yeah.
like saying it.
Mazel Tov.
There's so many words. I can't wait to do Jewcabulary for everything.
Yeah. We'll get there slowly, slowly.
It's the best.
There's a wide ocean of Judaism and we're going to swim through it.
Yeah. You know what I can't wait for?
Yeah.
Is You've Got Mail. I can't wait for the day that we get an email from someone who listens to this asking us questions.
Yeah, they can get in touch with us and ask us questions. They can tell us where we've gone wrong. You can yell at me things that I don't actually know about Judaism.
Yeah. And if they wanted to do that, where would they do it?
They can email us, talkingjew@gmail.com.
Bingo.
They can get in touch with us on social media. We're
Mazel
on
tov.
Twitter. We're on Facebook. Both of them @talkingjew.
Yeah, that's us.
So tweet at us, message us, share our episodes. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes.
Oh, I don't want to beg,
Yeah.
but please subscribe on iTunes. Just do it.
That sounded like a beg.
I'll beg. I'm begging.
In your defense, it does actually really help us.
It helps so much.
Yeah. And also, it'll help spread knowledge about kippahs and Jew horns and Jew curls.
Yeah.
And
Think about what we're giving away for free right
Yeah,
now.
It's pretty amazing.
Before this episode, I, and I'm sure many, many people, had no idea about these little Jew hats. And
Kippahs.
now, they're no longer little Jew hats. They're kippahs or yarmulkes.
Yarmulkes. There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
we've done something.
Progress is made.
Small progress.
Quick
One
recap,
step
I
forward.
reckon.
All right.
Yarmulke,
Yep.
kippah,
Yep.
not Jew hat. You wear it as a sign of respect. Am I correct?
Yep. And to remind you that God's always above you.
He's omnipresent, always around. And you can substitute it. You can wear a hat. Not like you can just wear a hat all the time.
If
but
you happen
need
to be wearing a hat. Yeah.
you don't have to put the kippah on top of the hat.
No.
I kind of wish you did.
Yeah.
That'd be so much more fun.
Yeah.
Especially like, I know we were talking about there aren't many construction worker Jews,
Yeah.
but someone wearing a hard hat with a little kippah on top is the funniest image, aside from
It's
the
not very
fedora
practical.
kippah.
And kippahs can be practical. Like
Yeah.
if you have a bald patch, it'd be very practical. But I don't think a kippah on top of a construction hat would be very helpful.
It's so good.
It's definitely not sun smart either.
Well, if you have a bald patch,
Yeah.
it's sun smart
Yeah.
for covering that bald
But it's not
patch.
covering your face.
Would you, if you started going bald,
Yeah.
would you start getting a bigger and bigger kippah just to like prevent people from knowing?
I think we've dived way off the deep end and we're now drowning in ridiculousness.
That's a perfect way to like hide it.
You've
Because I
just
would
turned
never
it
ask
into
you.
a sombrero.
Whenever I asked you, that's way more conspicuous. A big sombrero. I would never ask you to be like, hey, Aaron, can I have a little peek under that kippah? I would never ask you that. So you could just keep hiding it. And I probably wouldn't notice if you got bigger and bigger and bigger.
There are creepy people in Toys R Us who would definitely ask that. But with that, thank you very much for listening. Do get in touch. Send any questions.
Yes. And I reckon gear up for next week's episode. The 10 Commandments.
Yeah, we're tackling the big
That's a big one.
10 Commandments.
Alrighty.
See you later.
Mazel tov.
That's still not the right usage.
I liked it though.